How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm gonna be remaking a video that I've already made, but you guys haven't watched because I haven't gotten around to editing it. And finally, I fixed the camera quality that I was getting told by a lot of people that it looked like I was recording on an iPhone 7, which is kind of funny, honestly. Today I'm gonna be talking pretty briefly. I don't want to go too much into it. I made this whole video like 30 minutes going into every specific movie in every specific instance where the DCEU went wrong. So in this video I will be talking about why the DCEU failed and what I think attributed to that. So let's get straight into it. If you've seen Man of Steel, which I think that most of you guys have, it came out in I think 2012. It was a great movie, and I found it to be a great start to the DCEU. I was very excited to see where that was going to go. For me, Henry Cavill is the perfect Superman casting. He did great in the role, and I think that there was so much more that could have been done with him being Superman. But due to like a lot of things that happened later, he ultimately got fired from the role, which is really sad because I do feel like we had something going on there. But his movie was amazing. I find that to be the strongest point of the whole DC cinematic, like DC extended universe, just because it's so much better than anything else that we got, in my opinion. Obviously, we also have the Suicide Squad, another high point, which is directed by James Gunn, and I made a video, which is why I'm nervous about the movies that James Gunn is going to produce. And so when I talked about that one, it was me just like expressing my concerns, and a lot of people didn't understand that I was trying to explain my concerns, and a lot of people didn't understand that I have watched most of these projects and that they just thought that I was hating on them because I don't know. That's not true. I know most of these projects. It's just they're starting a new universe and it makes me nervous, but he did it very well with the Suicide Squad. As we can see, we had King Shark in there, or I think his name was like Wantabe or something like that, like some weird name. But I really liked him. It was Sylvester Stallone voicing a shark. It was funny. It was good. And you had Harley Quinn, which is Margot Robbie, which I always thought that she was perfect for the role. Just she's had some bad scripts with Suicide Squad, The Birds of Prey, and those types of movies. And you just have a lot of likable characters. Bloodsport, Peacemaker, which got his own show. And The Soldier, Starro the Conqueror. It was a movie that just didn't make sense, but it made it all the much better. It was so much fun. It was so funny. And I know that you guys are probably going to comment in the comments saying, nah, what do you mean it didn't make sense? The story was great. The story was great, but that's the thing. It was so random. These, like, outcasts going up against Starro the Conqueror. You wouldn't get it. Originally, it just doesn't seem like an idea that would stick, but it stuck. Batman vs. Superman, a movie that I recently rewatched again. I found a lot more respect for the movie when I originally didn't. So I rewatched the movie being like, hey, my mom's name is Martha, you can't fight me anymore. Obviously, that's like the big issue with it. What I find to be the big issue with this universe is their immediate competition to Marvel Studios. And obviously, you want to compete with them so that you can, they're your big competition. There's no other studio that's making, these projects without Marvel or DC. Well, you also have Invincible, but that's a show, and that's a super successful show. And then you have other like superhero projects like The Boys, and I've ran out of some names, but there are some that are their own separate universes. But the two big ones are always DC versus Marvel, Batman versus Iron Man, Captain America versus Superman, but that doesn't really make too much sense. It doesn't really matter, okay? It's just those ideas of these characters against those, and I feel like one of the big issues was the fact that the DCEU was constantly trying to compete with an already established Marvel universe. For example, when did I think Iron Man came out like 2000, like late 2000s or like 2010 to like 2007-ish. That's when I think it came out. I can look it up, but I don't want to do that and like just I'm gonna invalidate all my claims probably by giving the wrong date to that. But it came out. I was really young, and I remember watching it not in theaters. I remember watching it on my TV in my house, and I remember really liking it. And then they had Captain America, Thor, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. Then they build up to the Avengers. Here, what we had was Superman. I don't remember if Wonder Woman came out before Superman, Batman versus Superman. Whether or not it did, we could have had at least two characters, maybe even just one. And then they bring in Batman. That to me, he's a bit more like Lex Luthor in the case where he's against aliens, because like if you know why like a lot of like reasons why Lex Luthor is a villain of Superman is because he sees Superman as like an alien and a threat to the planet, and he's doing this for the good of mankind. It doesn't really fit too well because we know Superman is a beacon of hope and good, and he just doesn't believe that. And so here, what I felt was that we had a Ben Affleck Batman, which I feel like he was a good Batman, like in between everything that followed. But I feel like the movie was a bit too rushed because I think that year we had Captain America versus Iron Man and Captain America Civil War, and now we had a competing Batman versus Superman project, which sounds good, but you can't live up to the hype of, I think it was already like 20 movies or 30 movies up to that point. You can't compete with that hype with 3 movies. You just can't, and it's just not gonna work. And ultimately, it didn't work very well because a lot of people were already clowning on the project before anything else happened. And then in the movie, they were trying to be like very, I don't want to say lazy, but very quick about, oh yeah, so there are 3 other people with superpowers. This dude, he controls water and talks to fish. This dude, he can run really fast, but all we have is some dodgy security cam footage. And then this other dude blew up, and now he's a half man, half cyborg. That was the whole premise of the original movie. It was trying to set up even more and trying to, like, they brought in Doomsday way too early. This movie is one that bothers me substantially because it did everything that a lot of the DC fans would have wanted, but it did it wrong because it was trying to like speed it up. Although the movie isn't too bad because then we have other movies such as Justice League or Justice League, because the Zack Snyder one, I'm just gonna go and say it. It was amazing. I loved it. 4 hours of pure comic book like bliss. I've tried to show it to other people that don't understand comics, and it's just not for those people, which that's where they went wrong with it. But the Justice League didn't do that well either. And this is just me rambling on about it, just because you have a movie like Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is very good. Yes, it falls in dialogue. They are not speaking the entire movie, but it makes it serious and it makes everything a lot more impactful than Justice League's just, oh yeah, we're just all of a sudden gonna team up and there's no dark side. They're just Steppenwolf and then this and then that. There's so many plot holes because I don't know exactly how they made the movie, and I don't want to just go off saying bullshit, but it seems to me like they had the 4-hour movie and they're like, we can't release that. Let's just cut it up into small pieces and just throw it out there and see who's going to pick it up. See who's going to like it. Nobody liked it. That's the entire reason why this universe failed, because Batman vs. Superman was like, okay, dicey but good. Wonder Woman, good. We like that. And then you have Aquaman, which is like, I didn't know I would like this movie. I didn't know I would find it as interesting as it was. The second movie, though, not too bad. It was just not. You knew the universe was dying. Why would you go out and watch a movie that a universe is dying? It just didn't make any sense to release that movie. They already had it made. But there were some funny moments in it. Aquaman, as Jason Momoa as Aquaman, was a very funny character. I really did enjoy it. It just, Then you have the bombing of the, well, like, not the bombing, okay, like the tanking in the box office of the Flash, because the movie was just bad, and they just tried to do a lot of fan service, bringing in cameo here, cameo there. They had an entire scene where it was just cameos, but the universe was already dead by this point. And so me just going off there, it's just a whole mess. It was rushed. I feel like the sense of direction wasn't what they wanted, because Zack Snyder had the original idea, and he presented the original idea. I've seen various podcasts and various things talking about Zack Snyder's original idea. It was all over the place, but it seems like it would have worked. Okay, apparently Batman and Lois had an affair. I don't understand half of the things that I was being told in this, but it was apparently canon, and it would have made it so much more interesting to add those stakes. Apparently Batman was gonna die in the end. This was gonna happen. That was gonna happen. It would have made it so much more interesting had they just taken their time and gone back and said, hey, yes, we need to compete, but right now Marvel isn't doing so well because all of their projects are going out into TV shows, Disney Plus, and a lot of people are starting to confuse the Sony verse with the Marvel verse, which a lot of people are saying that Madam Web has like a lot of these different issues, and that's a topic for a different day. But right now is when their opponents are really struggling, because not many people saw She-Hulk, not many people saw no, not Captain Marvel. What's the name of the girl? I can't even remember it. Miss Marvel. A lot of people didn't see Miss Marvel. Like, the last big project was Spider-Man No Way Home, and a lot of people have rewatched that movie and said it's a bunch of fan service. It's a good movie, but a bunch of fan service. So the last big, well, no, I can't really say that because the No Way Home was really big. Then you have Moon Knight, which was also really great. Loki season 2, amazing. But the issue is that when they started to try to rush it and add the silly humor, you got projects like Ant-Man Quantumania, there's just Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and just so many more projects that could have been so well made, but they just added that humor, and then they just like, the VFX has been going down and going down and going down. You saw the Flash's VFX. Put up a fucking video right now. Do it. Dude is tiptoeing from Central City to Gotham in a straight line. It is such bullshit. And yeah, it literally just pisses me off, the fact that the DC characters are some of my favorite of all time. You ask me my favorite superhero, I will always say the Flash. Unless you say Ezra Miller's, I will say anyone but Ezra Miller's Flash. So, I love the DC characters. I love Superman. They could do like a Superman Injustice. I've made videos on how I would fix the DC universe. It's hard, I understand. But if you just focus on what the animated universe has, which, by the way, the animated movies haven't been doing too well either. But you go with the like the new ones. Crisis apparently was really bad. I haven't watched it because I don't have an HBO subscription. But what I've heard is that it's bad. Allegedly. Don't come at me in the comments saying that I'm just bullshitting my way because you loved it and you watch it religiously. It's what other people said. The Suicide Squad game failed, and I know that that's not a thing with the DC like DCEU. I know that that's not a thing about that, but it's just the fact of the matter that when you rush things, you're gonna make mistakes, and if you rush it to a certain extent, nobody is gonna like what you put out. It's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna work. So don't rush shit. Take your time. Yes, you don't want to take 10 years between projects, but even that has worked out for movies like Avatar, where people were like, they're never gonna make a second movie, like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden there's a second movie, which is great. It has good CGI, it has good stuff, a bit too long for my taste, but that's just my take. The movies can be made well if you don't rush them. You give the VFX time to actually work on the things that they need to work. You can have good visual effects, a good movie, and it's just something that like and the visual effects didn't lack. There's some amazing scenes in Man of Steel where Superman was just flying. It's just they could have done so well, and it pisses me off to my core because I really like a lot of the castings. There's no issue with the castings. The suits, some people will have clowned on some of the suits, but Aquaman's suit was great. Superman's black suit, his regular suit, they were great. There were so many things that were so well done. So many things that we were on the verge of greatness, this close, and then we just fucked it all up. I would like to say, then the next one, the fact that it's just nobody ended up caring because by like I don't know if it's Suicide Squad or Birds of Prey, everyone had lost their hope in the universe, and they just made it worse by trying to release more projects. They needed better writers. Honestly, I think that Zack Snyder's direction wasn't bad. I honestly think the opposite. I think it was good. If anyone saw the Zack Snyder's Justice League, that scene of the Flash running in the Speed Force, reversing time, beautiful sequences. Then Steppenwolf actually looked menacing. Darkseid looked menacing. Everyone had a good character arc. The story was interesting, and what was going to come was so much more interesting. An apocalypse storyline where Batman has to team up with the Joker and wants to fucking murder the fuck out of him. Then Deathstroke with his thing. It was just so interesting, and it could have been so great, but they decided to rush it and not give it a good sense of direction, which I feel like if it would have had that positive sense of direction, including the movies like Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2, that is a movie that could have just been erased from history. Although they had a great casting with Pedro Pascal, they had Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. It's just very hard to see such good characters. Us have to reset, like, not us, I don't have to reset it, but having to reset this universe and not getting good projects from it honestly makes me very sad, because these are characters that I love. And as a kid, I like Halloween. I would love to dress up as superheroes because I love them, because it's just great stories. For example, you can make a Batman Arkham movie and just basically just base it off the games. Like, kind of like steal the idea a bit. Obviously, turn it into your own. I don't want to be stealing. But you make something like that, people are going to love it. And if you take your time between movies, let's just say The Batman. Amazing movie. Amazing direction. People didn't believe in Robert Pattinson at first. I was kind of speculative of Robert Pattinson at first. How are you telling me that the guy from Twilight is going to be Batman? It was weird. He said that he wasn't going to bulk up. Loved him in the role. Loved the movie. It was great. Because they didn't rush it. And then the next movie, they're not rushing it as much. What did the Batman come out 2022? And the next movie's coming out 2025, I think? That's great. That's 3 years of time where they get to shoot, do reshoots, work on the script, work on the VFX. There's so many things that they are able to work on having that time, and people are going to watch. People are going to watch this next Batman movie unless it comes out and the critics say it's shit. The people, like me and some people come out and say, terrible movie, then people aren't going to watch it. But if you take your time, it's very hard to mess it up. So I hope, I doubt that James Gunn is going to watch this video. But if he does, take your time. Figure out what you want to do. Figure out the direction of where you want to go. And plan accordingly. That's the only thing I can say. Thank you to everyone that watched this video. It was just me rambling on for about 20 minutes, just being mad at our failed DC universe, DC Extended Universe. Thank you to all the actors that worked very hard on those roles and made some of these movies great. Yeah, I like to say that, and enjoy. See ya.